Welcome back here to Adelante Chicago. The Chicago Latino Theater Alliance was founded to advance Latino theater here in our area. 10 years later, CLATA has reached a milestone, and here to tell us more about some of their accomplishments, lots of cool things that they're doing, is the executive director, Jorge Valdivia. Welcome. Thank you for coming in. Always nice to chat with you.
It's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you're doing something really exciting because you sort of presented this, or you did present a fellowship where you opened it up to people to sort of submit ideas, what they're working on, and then from there you select someone which you're going to announce, I guess, on Monday.
On Monday, yeah.
So tell me about some of the submissions. What were you looking for, and what did you get?
So we this is the first year that we do the fellowship program. A few years ago, when I took over as executive director for CLATA, I asked my staff if there was room for us to grow our programming, and immediately, without missing a beat, they said yes, most definitely. So we launched the Inicios Chicago Latine Playwright Festival, and then we, after 2 years, we thought about whether it made sense for us to continue just staging these plays that we, obviously continue to tell the story of the Latino experience, which is most definitely an extension of our mission. But we were thinking more critically about whether it made sense to invest in the writing, in the playwrights. And so we've got close to 30 applications for the very first fellowship program. And what we're doing is we're investing in the playwrights. We are telling Latino playwrights that they deserve to get paid, to be compensated for the work that they're doing, for continuing to elevate our stories.
Okay, so will you pick just one individual, or you'll pick 3 individuals?
3 individuals, okay. And they'll each receive a $3,000 stipend. They'll be basically working on our first ever writers circle. Writers circle is basically, imagine like an accountability circle where you want to feel that pressure. You know that there's a deadline coming up, and you're meeting with other playwrights, and they will be working alongside an amazing playwright from the Dominican Republic. He's an artist. His name is Rian Dujar. He will be the professor. And he'll be working alongside to help them develop their work.
That is an incredible opportunity because, one, it holds them accountable, right? And that's the way they build ideas and motivate one another to do some really amazing work. So I am really excited about some of the stuff that we're going to see come out of that, right?
So are we.
I would imagine, as you talk to some of these potential fellows, the ideas that they submit have to do with our Latino culture, our Latino communities. Are most of them about that? And what are the topics that they're touching on when it comes to these plays?
Oh, I think that theater has always been a reflection of our lived experiences. And so what we're seeing in the applications, some of the works in progress that we've seen, the writing samples reflect the current climate that we're living in.
So the immigration, the arrests, the enforcement.
Absolutely. And others are very different applications. There's one application that I can think of that touches on his father. There's a playwright who's a marathon runner, and so his particular project really sort of focuses on, he's telling his story as a runner, and he's paying homage to his father, who was also a marathon runner. And so it's a very interesting story of legacy, of his father's legacy. And the stories also touch on women's issues. So there's I think a diversity of stories, and I think that's the beauty of Latino theater. I think that all these stories are very relatable. The problem that we see is that we don't see ourselves or our stories being centered and uplifted on stages across Chicago.
Why do you think that is? Just funding, or just interest, or?
I think there's we could have a whole
We've got 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes. In a nutshell, I think that it's a combination of different issues. Number one is that we do not hold positions of power. That's one. And 2, I think that there is this resistance, in spite of the fact that we're about 30+% of the Chicago population. Unfortunately, the decision-making filmmakers in those positions in theaters across Chicago still feel a little sort of resistance to center our voices and people who look like us.
It's a shame. It's
It
a
is.
shame. Okay, Clata doing a lot of wonderful work. If people want to find out more about it, of course, they've got the Destinos Festival, which is coming up later in the year. We're going to have him back to talk about some of what we'll see
Yes.
during that time. But if you're interested right now in learning a little bit more about Clata and the work that they do, Clata, CLATA.org. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Come back again.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, of course.